are a bunch of noisy birds behind me and those tree branches. Anyways, welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs. Thank you for joining me today, as I have yet returned to the local U-Pull-It, and I grabbed some more parts for the Aztek that I hope will at least eliminate a few of the issues that I've seen, and I found something that I was having a hard time finding, and I finally found one. Something that I kind of brought up a while ago. So, man, it's so noisy out here today. Anyways, let me show you guys what we're going to do today to the oh so delightful 01 Aztek. And I'll tell you why I bought the parts and why I'm hoping it'll correct some of these weird issues that we've got going on at this time. So the very first thing that I went to purchase today, my main reason to go there, is because I wanted to get the back, I think they call it a crankcase breather tube. I think that's what this is called. This is the basically the vacuum line that goes on the back valve cover, runs across the top of the engine, or the side I should say, somewhere along the top-ish, and then this side goes into the air snorkel. So if I pull mine off, which is here, you can already tell the back is loose. It's actually loosening back there. But basically, this thing is no good on the one end, and I think it could possibly be, yeah, it's a little harder to get to right now because I got all this stuff tied into one another. But I think it could be a possibility that this is contributing to my vacuum leak. And I had a hard time finding a decent one, so I guess it's very common for these to wear out the way this one did. Here we go, it's out. So you can see the end of this, how it just looks like it's kind of deteriorating and it's not even really sitting inside of the valve cover anymore. The other end's fine, but the new one I pulled off of an 01 Pontiac Montana with the same engine. It's a little bit better. It still has a lot of its shapes. It's got a little bit of deterioration there, but that shouldn't matter. The rest of that is still intact and the other side is good. So that's going to be something we're going to be putting on. The next thing I got to pick, and I picked this up from either an 04 or an 05 Rendezvous, an upper radiator hose. And this upper radiator hose, actually I kind of peeled it off, but there's a little bit left. So it's an aftermarket hose, which means it's not the original hose, so it was probably replaced not too long ago. It looks good. I don't see any kind of cracks or anything. The rusty clamps, of course, came with it. Except, well, yeah, the other one's down there. So we're going to take the upper radiator hose off of the tech, because when the thermostat opens and it's running long enough, we've had some steam coming up right around where the radiator hose goes on. And I honestly don't know if this hose was ever replaced, but this hose does feel a little firmer than this one, so hopefully that'll solve that. If it's not the hose, then it's probably something on the radiator, which is weird because I never see any leaks. Nothing drips when you're squeezing it, so it's only when the thermostat opens and it gets hot, all the steam starts running out of there. So hopefully that'll eliminate that. Next up, I found a somewhat new belt. Now, of course, it is, well, it's actually in really good shape. Actually, the writing, the font and stuff is still on this belt. And this came off of, this came off of an 03 Aztek that they just got in. Actually, the next two parts after this all came off of the same Aztek. So yeah, this belt looks amazingly new. My battery's dying. I thought it was charging. And we're going to take my old belt off. My old belt or the belt that came with it, does have some cracks and stuff in it. It's probably not in the best shape. I wanted to buy a new belt a while ago, but I just didn't do it before I put everything back together. When the car runs, it screams, and it screams really loud for some reason. So I'm hoping the belt being replaced will fix it. If not the belt, I also bought a new idler pulley. Not new, but off of that 03 Tech, and it actually looks like it too can possibly be new or newer. But look at that. I mean, it looks a lot better than the one that is on the Tech now, which was rusty. And I tried to clean the rust off of it before I put it back together, but you can just tell it looks like it's worn. Some of the marks are still there. This looks pretty good. So hopefully maybe that can be resolved if the screaming's coming from that pulley. Maybe that'll fix it. Another thing I got from that Aztek is the belt tensioner, which also looks like it is somewhat newer. Looks really good, and the tension on it felt a little bit different than what's on here. So if the belt tensioner is bad and the belt keeps slipping and whatnot, that could also be a possibility. So we will be replacing my belt tensioner with that one. And last but not least, and it's not really for any kind of performance thing, but I finally found a very hard to find 3400 engine cover. Obviously it needs to be cleaned, but at least this way, if I want, I can paint this maybe the color of the Tech. I can maybe have my brother, who's very artistic, have him maybe paint me or trace me the Aztek logo. We can put the Aztek logo right there in that blank spot. I mean, I got the cover, and it's not going to jeopardize how anything else on the engine looks, you know. So if this didn't turn out right and I didn't like it, I could just throw it away. And then we still have my nicely finished plenum. You know, we made it look a little shiny and stuff. And of course, that piece or that cover also has this oil filler neck connector. So the oil cap goes onto this end. I got to clean this out though. It's kind of gunky and I don't like it. But then my oil cap just fits right over top. It's something similar to this, and then that's kind of how it stays on. So I'm really glad that I found that cover, and it should work just fine. That came off of a 99 Chevy Venture, so when I saw the older Venture, I knew it had to have that cover. But like I said, the cover, I will take my oil cap off, I'll put that thing on there, and then my oil cap can go on top, and then there's a little piece on that thing that slides right into this brace here, and that's how it goes on. There's nothing to it. So I think it's going to look awesome. Plus, it'll help keep these wires down too, or it should help keep those down. Actually, I want to see what it looks like right now. I'm just going to throw it on real quick. And that's what it'll look like. It's not really sitting on the right because those wires, spark plug wires and stuff, are kind of still sticking out. So I gotta, I'll have to kind of clean up the routing on some of these wires and stuff. But yeah, this little tab goes into the back of that map sensor thing, and the oil cap kind of sits like that. So once it's all cleaned up, of course, it'll look a lot better. But it actually pretty much makes the engine look completely different than we're used to seeing it. Yeah, it really needs to be cleaned. There was actually a bird's nest sitting on the engine originally. But yeah, so I'm really glad that I found that. That's something that's kind of hard to find, and this just comes out like that. And yeah, that's pretty much how that works. So it looks good like this, but at least with that, I can kind of make this more unique in a way without, jeopardizing the actual plenum or the valve covers if I want to get some paint to match this. And then I like the silver lettering, so I don't want to do anything with the silver lettering. I like that a lot. So yeah, that's what I'd like to do. So I'm glad I found that. Now, one thing I noticed the other day when I came out to check the vacuum leak, I did notice that this boot here was cracked, and I thought that could have potentially been the issue. So I actually taped it so good now it won't come off. But on the back of this boot, you couldn't see it at first, but I put tape around it. I taped it up really tight. As you can see, it actually pulled the PCV valve out of it. So that is sitting in there really nice now. And then up here, I knew that this piece was really weird on the inside. It has a grommet, but I took a hose washer and I put that around there so you can see the hose washer sitting there. And this throttle body plate is pushing down on it, so it should be sealing that up pretty good. It's connected to where it needs to be. Disconnected the fuel regulator vacuum when the car was running, and it didn't make too much of a change, so I figured maybe the fuel regulator pressure or fuel pressure regulator is bad. Could also be a possibility. But I don't know. I'll just have to try to retrace everything. I mean, it all sat for so long, but it could also still be the possibility of getting the awful gasoline out. So, yeah. Got the hose. We'll do the hose and then the belt. Hopefully the belt and those new pulleys will eliminate the squealing. There is one other pulley down there, actually, under the water pump. I didn't think to pull that one, but if it still squeals, we'll replace that one also. But at this time, I grabbed this one, the idler pulley, and then the belt tensioner. So I'm gonna get to it. I'll let you guys know what happens. Okay, so it's been maybe an hour or so. It started raining a little bit. I'm still out here. Let me show you the old pieces that we pulled off of this car. So first off, my main concern, of course, I showed you guys this already, was this crankcase breather hose or tube. So I showed you this already. The grommet's just kind of deteriorating, and it doesn't seem to want to stay inside the back valve cover. This side that goes into the air snorkel is fine, but I'm hoping that it'll take care of the vacuum issue, and if not, like I said, we'll have to go from there. The next thing is this radiator hose. You know, from the outside it doesn't look too bad. From the inside, I mean from what I can see, it doesn't seem too bad either. I think part of my problem could have been this little notch here. I don't know if maybe steam was sneaking out of that little notch there. This is the side that was in the radiator. The good news is the plastic radiator housing that this goes onto doesn't seem to be broken. So that's good. I thought maybe there was a chance that was cracked or something. So next up is this belt. The belt doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't seem too bad, but there are markings. Yeah, it looks like the belt might have been slipping sideways from something. I mean, there's like all these weird sideways marks. That could have been an issue. Who knows? But my main concern was all these cracks at the bottom of this belt. So the new belt that we put on doesn't have barely any cracks. I mean, probably none at all, because the writing is still on the belt. So it's a newer belt, so we should be able to get some more time out of that. Next up is this pulley. The pulley, I didn't think was going to be an issue. I mean, it's spinning on its own. And the pulley, comparing this one to the other one that I put in, this one looks like it's actually coming apart. The other one has like this thing in this gap here, and the inside of this is rusty and stuff. So I don't know if this is going to be our culprit or not. I don't know. But all of that stuff has been changed out. Wouldn't really notice, but new belt, pulley, new hose. Hopefully this clamp is on here enough. I'm going to maybe go buy a screw clamp, like the screwdriver clamps that I've been kind of using periodically. I got this one up here, it seems to be on, but I gave this one down here at the radiator, you know, a couple of pulls, and it wasn't budging, so hopefully it's on for now. I have to put this bar back on. Like I said, the vacuums are in. Like I said, belt's on. Rebled the cooling system, so I have some antifreeze out here. Vacuum tube, like I said, is in place. Goes from there, runs down underneath that. Actually, it feels like I can jiggle it, and it looks like it's actually seating inside of there, so that's a good sign. Now the battery was left on the charge all night. I'm hoping we don't have to jump it, but I guess we're gonna find out here. So let me get the key out of my pocket. We'll start it up, see if there's any difference in running. By the way, I do want to say that as I'm out here today, I do notice a faint smell of gasoline. Mostly on this side, so I'm wondering if our running problem could be related to our nasty fuel filter under this side of the car, possibly. I don't know yet. Wouldn't surprise me. But I just want to point that out. I still have power. Hopefully there's enough to start it. Does look slightly dim. I literally took the battery off the charge not too long ago. As everything's off. Okay, here we go. See how it does today. Well, that's not good. That's not good at all. How come I'm not getting any fire today? Hey, the fans are on. And the key's out. I wonder if it's got to do with that. It's maybe the battery's not delivering the right amount of power. But the fans work? I'm so confused. Oh, I forgot. I had to unhook this. I forgot to hook it back up. Well, now we know what that does. Let me hook that back up. My arm kept snagging on it when I was trying to get the belt back on. I didn't want to tear the wires out. Forgot all about that. That's going to make a difference. Still wonder why the fans are on. Alright, let's try it again. Oh, the noise is still there. Alright, so it's not the new pulleys, that's just the coolant that spilled out. Oh, that's a bummer. Is it smoking? See, I'm starting to smell gas, either like unburned gas or there's a leak. It's one of the two. Okay, so my next thing is going to probably be to replace the other pulley on the belt. I might try to do that next or later on this week, maybe after work. I can't tell how it's running. It's running high right now. There's our little bit of smoke that usually happens, and eventually it goes away. Still looks like it's not running right. It's coming out in puffs. Alright, the service engine light's on. As to be expected. Let's turn the heat on. Make sure I still get some heat. The other day when I was out here, I finally got heat. We got some heat going into the cabin, so that was good. I must have been able to bleed the coolant system enough to get maybe the air pocket out. So let's hope that we still get heat today. I'm gonna have to borrow a code scanner from my friend and see if I can maybe try to pinpoint that service engine light a little more. The squealing goes away once the engine slows down some, once it gets warmed up somewhat. The good thing is it has been staying at temperature. Let's see, there's all of our smoke. And then it goes away at some point. It is cold out here today too, but I don't know. I'm just so baffled by this whole situation. But it hasn't been overheating. Once the thermostat opens, it stays at temperature long enough lately. Then when it starts to get a little warm, I think it was because of the steam that might have been coming out of the front radiator hose, the top radiator hose. Speaking of steam, I see some steam. It might still just be the coolant burning off. Yeah. Oh my God, that noise. Well, it's warming up now, so it's until the squealing's somewhat going away. I noticed the tensioner isn't really moving as much. The other tensioner did have some back and forth with it, so that's probably a good thing. But now I'm wondering if this pulley right there, under the water pump right there, I wonder if maybe that's the culprit, I hope. Yeah, she's starting to warm up now, so she's shaking and I don't know. Coolant's almost burning off. I just hope not to see steam at this end, and at this point, if I do, I'm just going to assume this clamp needs to be moved down more, but I was having a hard time getting it down. The tank actually is back down to a quarter, just about. So I wonder if I can probably maybe go down to the gas station sometime soon and I can add some more gas to it. Just keep adding the clean gas. The RPMs are kind of steadying themselves where they should be, and it's, you know, still running kind of rough. But at the same time, I don't know, it seems a little more normal. And I am getting some heat, so that's good. And the thermostat's gonna get ready to open up here soon. That's definitely a good sign there. We'll just keep working with it day by day. You can really hear, even though it's running really shaky and the squealing's not going on, it sounds like it's running smooth. I mean, like no ticks, no knocks. Everything sounds normal, other than the fact that I just have to figure out why it's shaking so bad. I honestly have no idea. I just put you guys on the engine. That's there. Yeah, our new hoses actually looks like it got sucked in perfectly, so the new hose is sitting in there beautifully. It's picking up a little bit more, like she's trying to run perfect. No more smoke. Smoke is cleared. Still getting warm. It's good. No idea. Okay, it's been a few more minutes. The heat is still getting hotter as the temperature is rising up. It's rising slowly, of course. Probably because I do have the heat on. I noticed I may have found another leak. It might be kind of hard to tell on camera, but I kept hearing a hiss, and I was kind of moving this around over here, this EGR purge. I think it's right at this. Oh, yeah, look at this. This is cracked. Right here, right at the end of that. Oh my word. I don't remember seeing it like that. That could be possibly the reason why this is doing that. I mean, I can't hold the hose in a particular way, it just seems like, but as I'm moving it around, I could definitely tell. That could also be the reason why I smell gas. These go back, I think, to the fuel tank. So yeah, that hose is completely dry rotting. I hope that's the issue. I mean, it's definitely an issue, but I hope that's the reason why it's doing this. I can feel the air kind of sucking in. So yeah, that could be another reason. I knew I kept hearing a hissing noise. Anyway, she's just about to open up soon, I think. That's what I'm waiting on. I just want to see if we get the steam. It's almost at the operating temp mark. I still have heat. I'm so glad I have heat. It's definitely a good sign. I started thinking maybe either the heater core was bad or it was plugged up. Still sounds like a trotting horse. Guys, I didn't get to tell you about the adventure I had yesterday. I opened up the hatch for the first time yesterday. The first time I had opened this thing up since February. And when I opened it up, which as usual, as usual, there it goes. At least 2 of the 3 times you gotta try this. I opened up the hatch, and right around here, where was it? Oh, I had to open this up too. Right there, see where that little thing is? Another hornet's nest, or a wasp nest, and it was probably about that big around. It wasn't very big, it was kind of like the one on the thing, but the big one was on top, right here on the hatch, and it was bigger than the one that was under the headlight when we found it. So I knew that they were hanging out around here somewhere, and I kind of confirmed that. Now I tried to look for other ones. I haven't really looked up there yet, so I don't know if there's any more, but I didn't see any more under here. I don't know if there's some maybe in the crevices down there. I don't know. But yeah, the one here and the one on the actual hatch. So that was a total of 4 nests that I had found that they had the entire summer. Alright, did my therm open? It might have. The temperature gauge has dropped a little bit. Battery on the camera is going to die a little. I didn't really give it time to charge all that much. No, the hose is still kind of cold, so it didn't open yet. These engines sound really good when they're running right. And they don't have that obnoxious noise go to them. So I just wait. All of my lights and stuff still work. That's great. So I think I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to keep letting it run. And I'm going to turn on some tunes. Okay, so the thermostat just opened up. And I still have my steam here. That's going to be really annoying to figure out what that is. But yeah, the hose has heat. The hose is really hot. So we're flowing into there. I really hope the radiator doesn't have a crack in it somewhere. Hopefully at this point it's just because that hose clamp isn't down enough, but I think that hose clamp is holding on to that okay. This thing, I had to take this bleed valve off completely to do my little bleeding session, and I tried to reseal it, and it's still leaking too. So that's fantastic. I'm gonna have to actually maybe buy some liquid sealer. Squealing dies down after a while. The cap still doesn't have any heat. It's not hot. It's cold. It's actually freezing cold. But I obviously have heat in the car. I have heat at this hose. The hose is really hot. The car is still running. The car has been running at temp. Down. It's not overheating. I still have good heat. Not the best heat, because I haven't actually been driving it, but it's warm, so I have heat. I haven't been freezing out here. You know, it doesn't, I don't know if there's less steam or more, like, it doesn't look like there's any more steam. It doesn't look like it's steaming as bad as it usually has. I don't know. Maybe it is a hose thing. Because I thought it used to do a little more than this. You can barely see this. So maybe I'm onto something? I don't know. I'll get another clamp and find out. Yeah, it's hot. The radiator cap is still cold. It was full. I mean, the radiator was full when I took this off. I bled all the air out of this hose. Totally not clean anymore. Can't wait to do the oil change. Yeah, I'm seeing a little more steam now. Let's see where the temp is. Yeah, it's still good. It's right where it should be. Alright, so this has by far been the longest that I've let this car run. It has been running for, well, way over an hour now. Way over an hour, actually. I still have heat. The heat's really nice. But at this point, it looks like the thermostat is climbing up to the middle. And you know, it's been holding its own for a long time. This is actually the longest that I've let it run without me worrying about it starting to get warm until now. So I know that steam coming up out of that upper radiator hose somewhere around there. I'm sure that's related to this at some point. All the pressure is probably just leaking or evaporating out of that somehow. Even then, it looks like it stopped, but it's still kind of getting to the point where I don't want it to be. So, I don't know. It's still kind of maintaining there, but I don't know. I tried taking the headlight off to see if I could see behind it, and I can't. There's a plastic guard. But the radiator cap is warm. It's not scalding hot, but it's warm. This is still piping hot, obviously. I can't wait to take this hose off. I know for a fact that that's probably part of the problem. Hopefully. I can feel it pulsing in my hand if I hold it right. The air. Yeah. Hasn't budged. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I mean, I know there's an issue there and I gotta figure it out. Gas gauge is lowering. I honestly wonder if that has to do with the evap. If that evap is vacuuming and it's not, you know, obviously getting the right kind of purge. The car is probably burning or not burning gasoline the way it should. Maybe that's why I keep smelling the gas. I mean, it makes sense. The longer this car's been running, the more I smell. This is going down. I looked under the car and I didn't see any leaks and nothing's dripping. The air compressor kicked on under my floor. I don't know. I mean, I think that would make sense. In my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not done with it yet. So I just now disconnected that little rubber hose that runs from the vacuum line here to this evap, which I completely moved out of place. I'll have to replace it, but look at that. I didn't realize that that was that bad when I put this car back together. So it's a wonder why all of that air was seeping out of here. I kind of wonder if I try to tape it up just as a quick experiment. If I tape it up, put it back on, and try to restart the car, see if it runs any different. Kind of like a temporary fix, but if I tape it up tight enough all the way around, and it's cracked at the end too, that could also be a thing. But I'm curious now. I think I'm going to try it real quick. Okay, I know my battery's going to die here soon, but completely wrapped the entire thing in tape, several layers of tape, got it hooked back up, plugged in, snugged as it should be, and well, let's just see what happens. As the rain is now starting to fall, hopefully she'll start up on her own so I don't have to stand out in the rain and get wet. Air compressor, still really shaky, unless it's burning off gas that's not used. I don't know.